Silent, empty, forgotten. But something is hidden there, in the darkness, in the shadows no sunlight ever reaches. For 50 years, we stayed away. Now, we're going back. Not for a flag, not for footprints. This time, we are going to stay. Robots will land first. Astronauts will follow. And beneath the frozen shadows, there may be water. Survival. Fuel. The first step to Mars. The moon is no longer sleeping. It is waking up. And humanity is about to cross the line. Forever.
The moon was supposed to be the beginning, but we left it behind. For more than 50 years, nothing moved there. No voices, no machines, no footsteps. Only dust, craters, and silence. Apollo proved one thing: humans could reach another world. But it did not prove the harder thing, that we could survive on one. And that is why we are going back. Not for another flag, not to repeat history. This time, the moon is a test of machines, a test of survival, a test of whether humanity can live where Earth cannot protect us. No air, no oceans, no magnetic shield, radiation, darkness, deadly cold, and dust that can destroy everything we bring. But hidden near the lunar south pole, inside craters the sun almost never touches, there may be water ice. And on the moon, water is not just water. It is oxygen, fuel, life support, a reason to stay. If we can use what the moon gives us, then the moon stops being a destination. It becomes a base, a launch point, a bridge to Mars. The first moon race was about getting there. The new moon age is about not leaving, because if we can survive on the moon, then Mars is no longer a dream. It is the next door we open. Artemis is not the beginning of the moon story. It is the moment humanity tries to reopen it. The first road to the moon was Apollo. It began as a race, a promise to land a human on another world and bring him safely home. Between 1969 and 1972, 7 Apollo missions were sent with the goal of landing on the moon. 6 succeeded. 1 did not. Apollo 13 never reached the surface. But even that failure became proof of something powerful. Humans could survive disaster in deep space and still come home. Then, in December 1972, Apollo 17 left the lunar surface, and the road closed. No more footsteps, no more lunar rovers, no more human voices above the moon. For more than 50 years, the landing site stayed there, silent in the dust. But Artemis is different. It is not going back to prove Apollo happened. Apollo already proved that humans could reach the moon. Artemis has to prove something harder, that humans can return with a future. In 2022, Artemis 1 flew first. No crew, no landing. Just a new rocket, a new spacecraft, and one brutal test. Send Orion around the moon, bring it back through Earth's atmosphere, and see if the system survives. It did. Then came the next step. On April 1st, 2026, Artemis 2 launched with humans on board. No landing, no footprints. Just 4 astronauts flying around the moon, testing the path before anyone tries to descend. On April 10, they returned. And for the first time since Apollo, humans had crossed that deep space road again. But this time, the goal is not one heroic moment. It is infrastructure, spacecraft, landers, robots, power systems, communication, habitats, the first pieces of a future that Apollo never had time to build. That is why Artemis may become more important than Apollo. Apollo was the victory. Artemis is the foundation. Apollo touched the moon. Artemis is trying to make it useful. And that is where the danger begins. because every part of this new path has to work far from Earth. The rocket, the spacecraft, the lander, the crew, the systems that keep them alive. One failure can delay the future. One weakness can end a mission. But if Artemis succeeds, the moon will no longer be only a place where history happened. It will become the place where the next history begins. A proving ground, a base, a road to Mars. Apollo showed us that the moon could be reached. Artemis has to prove that it can be used. And if it can, then humanity's next giant leap may not begin on Earth. It may begin on the moon. The most valuable place on the moon may be the place where sunlight almost never reaches. The lunar South Pole is not like the landing sites of Apollo. It is darker, colder, more dangerous. Here, the sun stays low on the horizon. Mountains can shine in light, while nearby craters remain trapped in darkness. For billions of years, those shadows may have protected something priceless: water ice. On Earth, water means life. But on the moon, water means survival. It could become oxygen to breathe, fuel to leave, a reason to stay. That is why the South Pole matters. Not because it is easy to reach, but because it may hold the first resource humanity can use beyond Earth. The moon is no longer just a dead surface. It may be a locked vault, and the key is hidden in the dark. The moon was once thought to be completely dry, but the evidence tells a different story. Water may have arrived here in violent impacts, carried by comets and asteroids over billions of years. Some of it may have been born on the surface itself, when solar wind from the sun struck the lunar dust and helped create tiny traces of water. And some may have been locked away in frozen traps near the poles, where sunlight never comes and time barely moves. In 2009, NASA crashed L-Cross into a dark polar crater and found signs of water ice in the plume. In 2018, scientists reported direct evidence of surface ice near the lunar poles. And in 2020, Sophia found water even on the sunlit moon. So the question is no longer, is there water on the moon? The real question is, where did it come from? How much is there? And can humanity reach it? Because if lunar water can be found, extracted, and used, then the moon changes forever. It stops being a destination and becomes the first resource world beyond Earth. A moon base needs more than a landing site. It needs a port, not on the surface, but above it. That was the idea behind Gateway, a small station in lunar orbit, far beyond the safety of Earth. Not a second International Space Station, not a place built for comfort, a machine built for movement, a place where spacecraft could dock, where crews could transfer, where landers could wait before descending to the moon, where science could be done in deep space, while Earth becomes a distant blue light. Gateway was designed to solve one of the hardest problems of lunar exploration: how to move between worlds without starting from zero every time. From Earth to lunar orbit. From lunar orbit to the surface. From the surface back to space. And one day, from the moon toward Mars. Even if the architecture changes, the idea remains powerful. A future beyond Earth will not be built by single missions. It will need routes, stations, refueling points, places to stop before going farther. Because deep space is not crossed in one jump. It is crossed step by step. And somewhere above the moon, humanity imagined its first harbor in the dark. Living on the moon will not feel like exploration. It will feel like living inside a machine, surrounded by death. Step outside the habitat, and there is no air, only vacuum. A suit failure does not give you minutes of drama. It gives you seconds. Above you, there is no atmosphere, So radiation hits the surface directly. Solar storms can turn open ground into a danger zone. And at any moment, tiny rocks from space can strike faster than bullets. Then there is the dust. Apollo astronauts brought it back on their suits. It scratched equipment. It clung to everything. It smelled like burnt gunpowder. Now imagine that dust after weeks, months, years. Inside seals, inside joints, inside filters, inside lungs. The moon is also a world of brutal temperature swings. Sunlight can heat the surface like an oven. Shadow can freeze it like deep space. A habitat must survive both. Every door, every cable, every panel, every breath. Because on the moon, survival is not one system. It is all systems working together, without failure. And that is the real test. Not landing there, not planting a flag, but staying alive on a world that gives nothing back. The moon will not become a city overnight. It will begin much smaller, with cargo, with machines, with the first services that make survival possible. A lander touches down, a rover drives away, a solar panel unfolds, an antenna turns toward Earth. It does not look like a civilization yet, but this is how one begins. The new lunar economy will not start with tourists or skyscrapers. It will start with delivery, power, communication, navigation, mobility, repair. Every kilogram sent to the moon will have a purpose. Every instrument will test a future system. Every robot will prepare the ground before humans arrive. Because a real moon base cannot depend on one mission. It needs supply lines. It needs companies that can deliver cargo, machines that can work without constant help from Earth, rovers that can cross dangerous terrain, power systems that survive the long cold, and communication networks that keep everything connected. This is the quiet beginning of a new economy. Not an economy of cities, but of survival. The first lunar businesses may not sell products to people. They may sell access, transport, data, energy, infrastructure. The moon will become valuable not because it is easy to live there, but because every system that works there can take humanity farther. First, we learned how to reach the moon. Now we have to learn how to operate there. And that may be the moment when space stops being only exploration and becomes a place where work begins. The first crew to Mars will lose something every astronaut has always had: Earth in the room. On Mars, a message can take more than 20 minutes to arrive. An answer may come almost 45 minutes later, and during communication blackouts, it may not come at all. There will be no mission control guiding every decision, no immediate rescue, no replacement part arriving next week. The crew will have to diagnose failures, treat injuries, repair machines, and make critical decisions alone. That is where the moon becomes essential. Not because the moon is a smaller Mars, it is not. Mars has an atmosphere, different gravity, seasons, and a journey that lasts months. But the moon gives humanity something no laboratory on Earth can provide: a real world beyond Earth, close enough to return from, but distant enough to expose every weakness. There, crews can test closed life support systems, recycle air and waste, perform medical procedures without immediate assistance, repair equipment with limited tools, and learn how the human body behaves in partial gravity. The moon allows us to fail closer to home before failure becomes irreversible. Because a Mars mission cannot depend on instructions from Earth, the spacecraft must think with its crew. The habitat must detect problems before they become disasters. And the astronauts must become their own engineers, doctors, and mission control. The first human mission to Mars will not truly begin on its launch pad. It will begin earlier, the first time a crew faces a crisis on the moon and solves it without asking Earth what to do. The moon is no longer a monument to the past. It is becoming a test of our future. A place where humanity must learn to build, survive, and make decisions without Earth holding its hand. The next giant leap will not be one footprint. It will be the moment we learn how to stay. And if we succeed, the moon will become more than another world. It will become the beginning of the road to Mars and everything beyond it. The new space age is already beginning. Subscribe to our channel and follow humanity's next journey beyond Earth.